Everyone, welcome to JMC Jams episode 10. So we're nearly at the end of this season. Absolutely amazing to think that we started this last fall, all hopeful that we might have a couple of episodes or whatever. And here we are, and we still have a few episodes to kind of do as well. And there doesn't seem to be any shortage of guests to bring onto this podcast who are doing cool stuff with us, who are involved in JMC, our students or staff or faculty here at JMC, or who contribute in other ways as well. We've had some external guests, and we have somebody who's kind of internal/external, I guess, today. Rob Mayeda, who is, I guess he has many day jobs, and I would say your main day job,
Multiple.
Rob, is NBC, right?
Yes, ever since 2003. Broadcast meteorologist there, back when KNTV used to be on Park Avenue, for those who remember, near the Shark Tank. And now we're on the North First Street location, doing weekend weather forecasts, also doing some climate-based reporting, science reporting during the week now, during weekdays, in addition to, as you mentioned, also assisting San Jose State Meteorology, teaching some online courses there, and the new Broadcast Meteorology Minor, which has been around for the last couple of years here at San Jose State.
Yeah, so we'll talk about all of these things in turn. I mean, it's interesting really how you're doing all of this for NBC News Bay Area, and you're kind of there in people's living rooms still, I guess, or on the computer sometimes, as well as through the streaming services and what have you. And that whole idea of the weatherman, right?
Yes.
I guess. Can I call you a weatherman?
Yeah. I've been called other things, but that's fine.
And which is fascinating, right? Because you think, it's just somebody who presents the weather, but you're not. It's much more. It is science, isn't it?
It is.
A meteorologist.
Yeah, in broadcasting, it's one of the specialist positions. You're responsible not only just for your forecast, right? You are expected to be an accurate forecaster, so there's the station scientist role. You want to be able to know what's going to happen, obviously, over the next 7 days, or also when we get into these situations where there's flood warnings or wildfires. You're expected to kind of be the leader in the newsroom in terms of where people need to be, what kind of warnings and messages we need to get out first. And now in this new era, things get pushed to mobile and web platforms instantaneously, or the 24/7 cycle of Samsung TV and these other online platforms where people can watch live broadcasts now in different formats. There is that science part of it. There is the graphics designer part of it, because we all work with weather computer systems, which, by the way, we have the WSI system here at San Jose State in the meteorology department. So it's the weather toolkit that we all use, basically creating a weather PowerPoint that you see on television, the 7-day forecast, the local graphics and everything. So you're one part scientist, one part graphics producer, and then there's the broadcaster side, obviously. So you take that role as well. I like it because my parents were both from an art background. They worked in movies, so I've always had the interest. I get more excited developing a 3D animation for some kind of fly-through of a jet stream or some kind of map. I really like that aspect of it. And the television part of it is fun too, but it's something that I've always enjoyed. As far as I can remember, back to about third grade, I was interested in TV, doing TV weather or broadcast meteorology, and having some of the design aspect of it as well.
Yeah, it's so much more of an experience now, isn't it? I mean, I remember, as a kid, the weather was literally a board behind the weather person, and you had a stick and you pointed at things, and the clouds fell off sometimes, and it was kind of clunky, but I mean, now it's just like it's a good experience.
Yeah, or people who remember the early days, there would be glass and the anchors would write almost in reverse. You would see it that way on TV, as you say, press on weather icons and things like that. So in some ways it was sort of an experience. You probably were more entertained by what was happening then. But yeah, it is completely digital, and I'm just looking here in even the San Jose State Update News. Chroma key is the key to everything that we do, but now with things that used to be cost prohibitive, a full LED set like they use in films now, we're using more of that. So one nice thing about being a broadcast meteorologist is that you're usually on the cutting edge of all the changes that are happening, to the point now where you can create virtual studios. CBS 5, KPIX, for example, having a fully virtual set is an example of that. Or people now, because software and freeware has gotten so user-friendly, you can do this in your own home with like OBS Studio and other programs too. So it's neat to see this technology now. Things, growing up I never had access to, but now anyone who's a student here has multiple ways to kind of access the same technology that we use.
Yeah. So essentially, you're making the science not just digestible, but understandable and relatable too.
Yes.
So when we're looking at lots of extreme weather patterns, as we, of course, are increasingly seeing through climate change, I guess it's a learning experience as well. I mean, that's something certainly that I feel from KPIX, is that I'm learning, as I'm watching the weather as well.
Well, that's the tool. I think technology is a nice bridge. It can take something very complex and kind of condense it down, hopefully to an easy to understand. One downside sometimes of broadcast news is you'll be told, well, you have 30 seconds, but the topic really demands a much longer format. But that's where that's where these other platforms come in. Now when we had the reports on what the future of atmospheric river storms in a warming climate look like, they presented this with me and they said, well, we'd like you to do a report on this new thing that came out. And I'm like, I'm going to need about 8 minutes if you really want to scratch the surface. And so now, because of the multiple platforms, they said, sure, do what you do. And I always like to point out, because that video, which is on, atmospheric rivers in a warming climate, was the most streamed video on YouTube that station has had in a couple of weeks. So there was obviously an interest in those types of topics. So as like I said, the station scientist, you've given this opportunity where you can try to communicate complex ideas in a more easy to understand, non-Bachelor of Science background, so that people can say, oh, I get that, or I see why that impacts my life, or the changes that I've noticed growing up, that you see that sort of thing.
And so all of that work that you're doing there at NBC Bay Area, you bring that here to our Update News studio via the Meteorology Department, right?
Yeah, we've been fortunate. Back on the NBC side, we have broadcast meteorology interns that work usually during the summer. And we've had a good success record. I know I've been there a while, but we've had at least 7 students land careers in, at least get their first job. They may decide afterwards that they go into real estate or they do something else. But that's a pretty high success rate, that anyone who did finish the broadcast meteorology internship would get a job now. And they're working everywhere from KSBW to NBC in St. Louis and all over the country now. So what's really difficult is like literally one person gets that chance. At all the local stations, maybe there's 1 or 2 of those, and you get a lot of applications. So you unfortunately can't recreate that broadcast real-time deadlines experience in a classroom setting. And that's what I felt helped me the most, was my internship at KNBC with, at the time, Fritz Coleman he just recently retired. He really helped me out to understand, how the production process works. If I didn't have that experience, I just walked out of college, I would have had no idea what to expect. So what we tried to do at San Jose State is to basically recreate that newsroom broadcast internship for weather all the way down to the computer system, integrated with Update News. So when you watch Update News, what you're seeing there is professional grade WSI graphics of the full forecast done on the same computer systems that we use, most all the TV stations still use. And to get that experience before graduation, I think, is a big leap forward, because what essentially you're doing now is bringing that whole broadcast internship experience to the classroom, really focused classroom and an Update News situation, which is great because you've really opened up the doors for a lot more people.
Yeah, and I mean, for the student show reel, that's absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a good integration too, because the Meteorology and Climate Sciences department here, they're well known, especially for fire weather. That is their forte in the Wildfire Interdisciplinary Research Center. You'll see them often on the news, and at the same time, when we're integrating the forecasts, you'll notice if you look down to the banners, it does say San Jose State Meteorology and Climate Science on the banners. And at times, we'll find people within the journalism department that want to go the route of a meteorologist, potential broadcast meteorologist. But then they maybe just realize midway through their college career, oh, I would like to do this. versus somebody who may be coming strictly through the undergrad of a Bachelor of Science degree in meteorology that then decides, oh, I'd like to maybe be a better science communicator. Maybe I should take, update news. Or So that's where the hybrid of this Broadcast Meteorology Minor came up, was to be a platform, kind of a bridge between meteorology and journalism and communications, where you can get those core courses and just basically upon graduation have the tool set, the broadcast talent reel ready to go. So as you walk into a news station, you have the weather graphics experience. You know what to expect from an on-camera role, and perhaps work on climate and science-related stories as well. So it's trying to take that broadcast internship experience and put it on campus.
Yeah. So you're knowing enough of the science to actually give you that push up the ladder, right?
Right. It's something that is attainable provided you at least have some foundation. And I think there's been an expansion for sure with a lot more online programs. I think that's a push you'll see much more of in the next few years. There's some well-established programs, I would say Mississippi State, Penn State, and others they've had that presence. And San Jose State too, I think you'll see, is definitely pivoting in that direction. So what we have now, thanks to the minor though, is basically what I'm trying to say, it's not too late. Prior to graduation, these are courses that will at least get you the base foundation in weather and climate, and from the update news perspective side of things, it will give you the broadcasting experience. So, so you basically don't have what happened to me when I went to KNBC. I had no equivalent of update news experience. I didn't really have any entry-level weather experience up to that point. I was dealing with basically most of my undergrad work at that point, and then I did transition into meteorology later. But I was just thinking back, it's like, well, I had to learn so much, while I was in a place where I should have been just working on my talent reel, or with your resume to send to your entry-level markets to try to get a job. I was behind kind of from the start. So what's nice about this now is that you can put your reel up on YouTube for these entry-level positions, and we find that that these students, even prior to graduation, there's news directors reaching out saying, "Oh, when are you graduating? We liked your reel." So that's the best thing you can hope for, is that you have those leads before you graduate.
Yeah, that's so cool. And of course, the show reel is not isolated. It's also their work is embedded within the news program. So it's a fantastic experience. And I mean, personally, I'd like to see us maybe talking to environmental science, for example, and having kind of expanding this whole idea of the science minor with the journalism major to give us is more of a driven scope. Yeah,
and it's interesting. One of the things that comes away from a lot of the conferences I go to, the American Meteorological Society and others, is we need to be better communicators of not just your weather forecast, but there's breakdowns sometimes in how people are getting their information when it comes to truly important weather warnings. Some people will have a favorite weather app, or they'll watch television and they'll be watching some show and a message will come across the screen. But when it comes down to the text part of that message, sometimes it's very confusing. And I've noticed on the government side that there's definitely a push now for better social media communication. So I think the courses that are offered here in this program, maybe not even just for meteorology minors, but climate and environmental science majors would benefit from this, because as they're pitching either for grants or for research, and they're trying to, like I say, take complex messages and make it in a more condensed, focused discussion. That's where this really helps to be a better science communicator. It may not necessarily be a broadcast meteorologist, but if whatever career science or communications you go into, your ability to improve your presentation skills does carry over to multiple backgrounds.
And of course, the way that we are looking at this is by having the meteorology minor in our journalism major. But of course, if you're a science major of any kind of ilk, then you can do a journalism minor with us.
Absolutely, it does work that way too, and it helps on maybe on the publishing side of things too. And there was some grad students in the Fire Weather Lab that would be interested in a broadcast meteorology either internship or the courses that are offered here. They know, I don't want to do what you're doing, but they can see the value in that if they're called upon to do a presentation or be on a panel and that sort of thing.
And there's a PR minor as well they can take.
Absolutely.
So my gosh, there's so much scope here, Rob. You just got me thinking, right? There's so much outreach that I think we need to do a crossover into the sciences, especially because I mean the work that you guys are doing over in fire is absolutely amazing. You know, timely and really important as well. Yeah,
the faculty that we're really lucky for those who are coming on board this fall. From the climate sciences thing, Dr. Cadera, when you search these topics, it's not a coincidence that San Jose State professors pop up. You know, Dr. Clements with fire weather, Dr. Cadera with all things climate science, and the Green Ninja program that he developed for secondary education or in school education.
It's with animation, right?
Yeah, and it's on YouTube. Green Ninja, by the way. It's excellent. But there is such a talented group, and probably the most accurate forecaster I've ever met, Professor Mike Voss, too. All these people are under one roof, and we have access to high-performance computing, and all these tools here. You're really fortunate. You know, sometimes you might get a good meteorology program in one college, and then communications on another. But having both integrated here is a real strength.
Sure thing. Yeah. And I was going to start talking about Moss Landing and all the rest of it, you know, but we don't have time. I think we run out of time. Miriam is madly waving over behind the camera. As she often does, actually.
She does.
You're going to have to keep that under control, Miriam, all this waving. So we're out of time, basically. And I could have talked forever. So listen to you here, actually. Yeah. So thank you so much, Rob. I really appreciate it. Yeah. And long may this continue.
Yeah, you'll see me around campus.
For sure. Okay. Well, thanks, everyone. That was Rob Mayeda talking about meteorology and journalism. And, well, you've heard it. So next week, we're going to have a few back-to-backs, actually. So watch this space, because as we gear up towards the end of the semester, we've got to finish our quota of episodes for this season. So some fun stuff to finish the academic year off. Finishing off with the graduating student showcase, and our graduates are going to be unleashed into the world very shortly as well. So until then, thanks for listening to JMC Jams. I'll see you soon.